I'd like to call to order the March 20th, 2023 Parks and Recreation Committee meeting. I'm Commissioner Nick Scull. To my right is Commissioner Anthony Prusi. To my left is Commissioner Cheryl Lockhart, Township Manager Matt Candlin, Parks and Recreation Director Pat Stacio, and our solicitor Sean Kilkenny. Are there any announcements?
None.
Approval of the minutes.
I just had one comment. I missed the meeting last night, but I saw in the minutes the attendance at the library, 32,000. That's unbelievable and impressive. Is that not right? Okay.
I wasn't real sure how to make that correction. What he was saying was for the year.
For the year?
Yeah, the
Okay.
first number in there is what happened in 2022.
That's still a lot of people. And
It is a lot
speaks
of
to your
people.
great programs and welcoming atmosphere at the library.
Yes, I'd like to see us go back to pre-pandemic population of usage, but we'll get there slowly. Thanks.
Thank you. I have no comments on the
Okay.
minutes. They're fine.
Anything to say, Anthony?
I have no comments either, except just to thank Kathleen for sifting through our long meetings and really capturing the essence of what we're talking about. So she does a good job with that.
All right, well, let's move down to monthly reports. Mr. Stacia.
Thank you, Commissioner. Before you have your Parks and Recreation February monthly report, it's broken down into administration, recreation, and park maintenance. Just a couple comments. From the administrative side, we did hold a meeting. I think I mentioned this last month that we were going to hold a meeting, but we did hold a meeting with the neighbors of North Willow Grove Park. We are installing a new playground and some other amenities for that park. There were about 25 folks who attended that meeting. We did invite their youngsters. There was maybe 8 youngsters in there as well. We talked over all the different types of play equipment and what they would like to see in their neighborhood. Provided those folks with a number of options for playgrounds. North Willow Grove is a wonderful community in Upper Moreland, as are most of our park neighborhoods, where they have a Facebook page and they communicate daily with each other, and they shared all that information. They returned what their desires were to me. We were able to accommodate that, continue the communication with them, and we did get the playground ordered. It's about an 8 to 12 week delivery time, and then it has to be installed. So we're looking at hopefully installing the playground by July 4th. The township newsletter was mailed. I know a number of residents received them already this week. So if you have not received your newsletter, you should be receiving it shortly. If you don't get it by the end of the week, call the township and we can mail you one in case it doesn't get delivered to your house. We saturate Upper Moreland, which means we go by carrier route, which does include some non-residents as well, but it's cheaper for us to saturate an area by postal carrier route. So some of our neighboring townships might get our newsletter. And we were approved by Tree City USA to become a Tree City. So that is retroactive back to 2022, and we're doing everything appropriately for 2023. On the recreation side, we held our Polar Prance Dance, and I got the words correct this month. We had 150 youngsters participate in that, so we did move it from the Willow Grove Firehouse over to the Pennypack Elementary School. A great thank you for all the many volunteers, including Parks and Rec Council, members of the Key Club, some parents and others who helped us that evening so that the youngsters had a great night. And we are running our first pickleball tournament. It is April 14th to the 16th. It's the first time we're trying it. There's men's singles, women's singles, there's men's and women's doubles, and there's co-ed doubles as well. So it's a 3-day event. Different events are held on different days. UpperMorelandRec.com has all of the information. As of right now, we have about 120 people registered for that event, which is a great turnout. We expect we're gonna get another 100 by the time this comes up. However, only about 10% are residents of Upper Moreland, so we'd like to encourage residents to register for that. They do pay a slightly reduced fee. And on the maintenance side, just a couple of comments. We continue to replace in all of our parks any damaged wood that might be our signs, picnic tables, or benches. So we go through every year and we replace any damaged wood, or we sand and repaint if necessary. And we did send some of our staff, 2 of our staff members are certified pesticide applicator personnel. And we sent the remaining staff for that. They attended the seminars, which were a 2-day seminar, and they're taking the test to be able to apply pesticides. Just so you know, if one of our maintenance guys has their license to spray, the others can also spray, so they would fall under him. However, we want all of our staff to have the training so that there's no questions when they're out there spraying.
That's good, yeah.
With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
I have none.
Congrats on the Tree City USA. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a combination with Lynette for
Lynette
her
also.
assistance, and I should mention this too, that the board appointed the Parks and Rec Advisory Council as the Shade Tree Commission, and in that, the council appointed a Shade Tree Committee. So 5 members on the council are the committee. They hold meetings prior to the Parks and Rec Council meetings. They discuss what their findings are, what they would like to recommend, and they report to the Parks and Rec Council, who then will discuss it and report to the board. So they held their first meeting a couple weeks ago, and we'll have a report for you at our next meeting.
Awesome.
You know, there was a question about inventorying trees, wasn't there?
So they've, a number of ideas came up, and they're trying to tackle which ones they want to pursue first, or which priorities. Tree inventory is certainly one. Downtown, our downtown trees, and the condition of those trees is another. And I think high on the list is making sure that the community has some educational opportunities, whether it's through seminars, online stuff, or just information that's available on the website. So they're working on those.
Very good. Well, let's turn now to the Library Board of Trustees.
Representing all 32,000 individuals for the month of January.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yes,
Who's
got a
gonna win
lot
for
of
the
weight on
vote?
your shoulders.
First, good evening. My name is Dr. Anthony Giannetti. Tony, please. Just a little bit about me. I live in the township for about 15 years, and I've been practicing in the township as a general dentist for about 30. So I have a good history of Upper Moreland. It's kind of unique. You know, I said to Margie, I got a library card in August of 2022, and I became a board member in January. I came to the library. I was so impressed with the personnel and the services that I said, I have to volunteer here. And 3 months later, I'm on the board. So that speaks volumes of Margie, the services, as you mentioned, Commissioner, it's just exceptional on what we have here. One board member said, it's a library, it's more than just books. And today, I'm going to give you a little update, and you'll see it's, you know, we're not going to mention books. It's more than just books. So a couple things. The first is the Literary Council of Norristown has developed a program to help with adults in terms of getting their GEDs. The library is going to offer a room, volunteers. They're going to be trained in the month of April. We have a seed garden again this year. The seed garden is kind of unique. People come, vegetables and flowers. The goal is that as they grow these vegetables and flowers, they save some of the seeds and they return them to the library, so it's a renewable resource. So it's community involvement, it's green, you know, it's everything we want. We had a survey completed, the Upper Moreland Free Public Library had a survey completed. Margie spent a lot of time on it last year. I won't bore you with all the results, but the results are such that everyone feels highly or very satisfied with the services offered. We are, as a board, we're looking at those results so that we can meet the needs, the current needs, and the future needs of the patrons of the library. By popular demand, we started a teen chess club. You know, if you ask for it, we shall do it. So we have a bunch of teens that are going to come, no planning, and just learn how to play chess. Again, you know, it's more than just books. We are going to participate in Upper Moreland Township's Earth Day. We'll have a library table with children's activities. We'll be dispensing popcorn, so, you know, that'll lure people in. And again, we want to be out there to the public so that the public can see what we do, because getting across the message of the library, I find is very challenging. I've been in this township for 15 years. I never went to the library. what's wrong with that? And what we have is just a jewel. So my job with my patients now, I used to talk about golf and cooking, and now I talk about the library. So hopefully I'll get one of these people to write a big fat check to the library and we'll all be happy. I just tell them, do you want Novocaine or do you want not Novocaine? No, Novocaine will cost a little more. No, I really don't do that, because I'm record. The last thing is, well, we have an organization, the Friends of the Upper Moreland Library, and that's, I'm sure you're well aware, they help tremendously with donations. They're in need of a new treasurer, and someone that we need someone who has, financial acumen, and it's been really hard. The woman who's the treasurer now is really pressed, and so unfortunately I can do teeth, but my wife does the books at home, so it's not a good fit for me. But if anyone knows, word of mouth is the best advertisement. So having said that, if anybody comes across someone, you don't have to be a township resident, for the Friends. On the board, we have to have, residency in the township, but so anybody that colleagues, I've been kind of floating it around. I have friends at Happer. I'm like, you're an accountant, aren't you? Yeah, I think we, so, it helps. The last thing is a personal thing, the commissioners came up here and thanked the police chief. I could tell you my story with my grandson and the police chief and the police department, and how I feel remiss that I never wrote a letter. Twice in 1 week, they came to my daughter's house, and my grandson was medevac to CHOP. And so, EMS, the police, I call them angels, and every day I pray for them because they did such a good job. But on a heartfelt thank you to all you. Without you, we wouldn't be here. You volunteer freely of your time, of your effort, your expertise, and oftentimes people come up here and complain. And that's part of the job. But not enough people come up here and thank you. So from the bottom of my heart, the board, Margie and the library, we thank you for all you do, especially in keeping that building over there going, because without your help, it's an empty building. So I'll entertain any questions, and I probably don't have the answers, and if I don't have them, I'm going to lie, so just give me some idea. Any questions?
No, I just want to say, I saw you in action at the library board meeting, and I think you're a breath of fresh air. And get a big help to our
the jury's still out on that. You give it a couple. Yeah, ask Margie on the side. She may say something different in a little while. But right now,
talk a good game.
It's easy to feel enthusiastic about something that you care about. I volunteered a free clinic, and I've been doing that for 20 years. I was chairman of the board, and I can tell you about HealthLink till you're blue in the face. This is my new mitzvah, as my Jewish friends would say. This is, it's something that everyone can benefit from, and the more people know about it, the more they'll benefit. So, I'm going to do I promise you, I will do my part to make sure that the library continues to be successful. And, with Margie on board, it's a no-brainer. But thank you again.
Sure.
Yeah, we're glad to have you on the library board, and also serving the community with as a reputable dentist in Ward 4.
I'm very happy.
Commissioner, I should also point out, I'd like to express our thanks to the library for hosting our students that are being tutored. If you remember the ARPA funds that the board allocated towards the tutoring program, we're not able to have those tutoring sessions at the school, and so the library's opened their doors, and the students have been using the library to have their tutoring sessions. I think it's worked out pretty good so far.
Thank you.
I agree, it has worked out great. I got the correction for those minutes. I see where the mistake was. It was just in the year. So the 29,000 is how many people I reported to the state entered through our counter at the door in year 2021. And then the 32 and 97 is what I counted in 2022. So he was just one digit off in the expressing the dates.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank
you.
Very good. All right. No old business and some new business, the Farmstead Park roofing project.
Thank you, Commissioner. You may recall we went out to bids for the roofing project at Farmstead Park. It's a cooperative effort with Farmstead Alliance. We have 2 grants totaling $200,000, and the Farmstead Alliance has offered to kick in about $25,000. In addition, the township is putting some funds towards this for the diminishment of the cottage and also some restoration in certain areas and engineering. We had 7 firms pick up the packets, the bid packets. I think 5 of those attended the pre-bid meeting. 2 bids were received. The bids are before you. They were much higher than anticipated. The low bid came in at $368,875 for the base bid. We have approximately $250,000 to do this project. So we're in the process of contacting those vendors, the 2 that bid, to see why their numbers are high, and then the others to see why they did not bid. We have not gotten the answers to those questions as yet. My recommendation is that we not award this project at this time and look at some options. One would be to rebid and advertise differently. This was not done through pen bid, which is an electronic bidding opportunity. This was done the old school where you have the plans and the hard paper. So that's one option. Option 2 is to change the scope of this project. The 2 grants were written in such a way that we could do work on 3 buildings. So we can possibly change the scope and maybe do some roofing on one building and maybe some other work on another building. We'd have to go back to them to ensure, the granting agencies, to ensure that it fits in what we applied for. And option 3 is to apply for more grants. And I can tell you that Alan was applying for a grant that was due on Wednesday. So there's an opportunity to get extra money, maybe make the project a little bigger because we couldn't fit everything in that we wanted to do. So there's 3 options at this point. We did contact Mako 2040 and we got an extension, the township did, of another year for our grant, which was set to expire this year. So we have another year now. And Alan is contacting PHMC, the granting organization, to ask to get a 1-year extension as well. So we hope to have for you in April is some of the decisions that the Farmstead Alliance and the department would recommend for moving this project forward.
Well, we had an architect develop these plans, right?
We did. We had an architect develop these plans.
Are you surprised that?
They were very surprised. When they developed the plans, they did use the prevailing wage scale because this project is over 25,000 and we're bidding it, prevailing wages are included. And they were very, very surprised at the numbers. We did have a meeting with the architect, and then Gilmore Associates was at that meeting with us, Farmstead Alliance, and myself and Kate, and we're trying to get an understanding as to why these numbers were so high. One thought is the 2 companies that bid are not roofers. That's not their skill trade. So they're general contractors who would then sub out some of that work. So that's going to have an inherent increase. We do think that if we rebid and we go on pen bid, we're going to get more bids and maybe we'll get roofers. The difficulty is we're looking for a lot of experience with historic structures. So, but we don't know at this point if that was the reason that the bid was higher. We know that these 2 companies have worked on historic structures. We're familiar with both of them. So our engineer, Gilmore Associates, is calling 2 that bid, and the architect is calling the 5 that picked up the packets and did not bid. We're meeting again Friday to review that information.
Was Mike Hart one of the bidders?
No. At least I don't recognize that name. I have the
Yeah, well,
names.
he's the guy that tore the shed down
Okay.
for $20,000 and probably did $80,000 worth of work. But anyway, I'm going to ask Alan to get in touch with him.
I recognize that name from recent discussions with Alan, so I know Alan has been talking to him.
He, for instance, he supplied all the rippled glass that we installed gave it to us in the farmhouse.
A lot of companies don't like to work with bids and going through all of that headache, but
Could be.
So again, the recommendation is to decline all the bids and wait for the April meeting where we'll have some more information, hopefully some better news, and we can take a look at how we may rebid this project.
Does that require any board action?
I believe they would have to formally, the board would probably have to reject all the bids, so we'll put it on the April agenda
Okay.
for them to reject the bids.
Is that what we want to do? Do we want to actually flat out vote to reject, or do we want to vote to table this while we work out some of the alternates?
Well, we had,
Well, I guess the question would be, we're going to come up $120,000 short. So we can certainly table this.
We can't pick and choose parts of the scope. That was one of the ideas. Well, I think that's maybe what you were getting at is because I think you had spoken to Alex about it.
Yeah, it's an all or nothing
Yeah.
bid process. In
Yeah,
fact,
that was my next question, right? Because one of your options was to reduce and/or change the scope. And I'm not sure, I mean, I'm sure that you and Alan have discuss that and have that concept in mind as to how we can adjust this stuff, and we don't have to go through that now, but considering we had a couple different alternates for roof shingle types, we also have a lot of work that needs to be done out there, so reduction of scope only makes sense to me if we are trying to fall within a grant. Ultimately, it's gonna have to happen, the work's gonna have to happen. So I don't know how we can work with these numbers and these contractors or find other contractors.
So,
to do it.
yeah, a couple things. I just, when I say about reduce the scope, I don't mean reduce the bids that we got and then award based off what we have. It's an all or nothing proposition. So, okay, even though the one contract came back and said, look, I can work some we can't do that. When I'm talking about change the scope or reduce, it would be a whole new bid packet, a whole new project. And maybe take a look at, okay, where were our numbers really high? And say the farmhouse roof came in extremely high. Maybe we don't need to do that now, and we can focus more on the carriage house and the cottage and make that our project. If we're limited to this number of money, we can expand and do more work if we get the other grant. If we table these, I don't have any recommendation where another 120 or 130,000 might come from. Also, we believe these numbers are extremely high. So to us, it feels like if we came up with another 120,000, we're overpaying for a project that we think.
I agree 100%. Yeah, these numbers are astronomical, and then the spread between the two is also telling us that something is right? But you do bring up a good point also with the farmhouse itself, because we are undergoing some other studies with that farmhouse now, and it might not be the apropos time to redo that roof if we're talking about studies for other functionality of that space.
Well, that's for the barn. So,
Yeah, you're right. The farmhouse is, sorry.
But if we go out to municipal, I think Pat's right. The challenge with going out to municipal is we'll have to make sure they're qualified.
Yes.
So we'll have to make sure that's in the bid, but I think we'll get better prices.
Yeah, makes sense. All right.
Mr. Spearing.
I support the action to move it forward to reject the bids. And the point that you made about not only the numbers are so high, but they're so far apart.
Yeah.
And 7 packets picked up and 2 returned.
Yeah, we've had a lot of that oddness at the farmstead, right? I mean, if you're talking about the last project that we had bid also, where we got for the landscape work. So it would be interesting to start talking to some of these contractors, understanding why this is a no-fly zone for them for some reason.
Yep.
Thank you.
I think often they bid high because they really don't want the project, but if you paid them that much money, they might.
yeah, either they don't want it or they're extremely busy, and, and that was some of what we heard for the environmental project that we had. I'm waiting, Friday, we should have the answers to this.
It's also delicate, finicky work also.
It is.
So. All right, well, thanks for going through all that.
So we're going to recommend rejecting the bids next meeting. All right. Sorry to be saying that.
Yeah. We had some good momentum.
And there's some seasonal employment information, right?
Yeah, Commissioner, I just wanted to make the board aware of our seasonal situation, and we've talked over the last 2 years of difficulties we've had in getting seasonal staff, especially since COVID hit. Prior to that, we had to turn people away because we had a high number of applications. We are not seeing that right now. We usually hire 8 seasonal maintenance workers. This year we have 4 that are hired. We hire 8 to 12 park attendants. This year we have 6, and the issue with them is most of them only want 2 days a week, so part-time 2 days a week. And we need at least 30 summer counselors, and we have 13 right now. So we are desperately seeking applications. the board did approve and the manager approved a pay increase. So we are, I think we're the highest paying township for summer camp counselors, parks, oh yeah, we're way above the norm. I didn't check with all of them, but many of them are $3, $4 below us. So we are paying a very good rate for this summer work. Recently, talking with the manager, we are now going to be able to go after 16 and 17-year-olds. Before we were hiring only you had to be 18 years old. So in certain positions, nothing to do with maintenance and use of machinery, but certainly park attendant and summer camp counselors. So that just came down today. So we have a number of 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds that are looking for work. So we can add a few employees. I think we have 6 or 7 applications. So that will certainly help. But we remain desperate. In particular, we'll manage through our maintenance. We'll figure out how to get that done. Worried about the level, but we'll get it done. Park attendance, it worries me because right now I have my April calendar done for workers, and I have a lot of times when the park is not staffed. That means the restrooms are closed. We can certainly put the lights on, the evening lights on a timer, but there's no restroom service. And on weekends, I need staff because the park, as you all have visited, the park is extremely busy. And just as important, or more importantly, are our summer leaders. We get typically about 350 to 380 kids in our summer camp program. With the leaders that we have right now, we're only gonna be able to take about 120. So our registration's open on Monday, this coming Monday at 9 o'clock. We're gonna cap all of our registrations to fit the leaders that we have. And we're gonna take a wait list. And as leaders come on, just like we did last year, we'll add some people into the program. But we are in serious need of camp counselors. So if anybody's watching, please call the Department of Parks and Recreation. We'd be happy to take a look at an application for you. And lastly, I just want to say, one of my frustrations, we have a new software package HR has put out, and we're doing a lot of advertisements online, which is wonderful. We've gotten a lot of applications through Indeed, probably 15 to 20 for each position. We're getting very little response. I'm getting very little response when I email them or call them and say, hey, I'd like to invite you in for an interview. 60% don't respond to my emails. Maybe 20.
So easy now to
Yeah.
apply.
Just click a button, click, and then, of those that have responded, about 9 or 10 scheduled an interview with me and never showed up for the interview. And only 4 that scheduled an interview did show up for the interview. It was encouraging to see all the applications. But, I'm scheduling my time and Kate is scheduling her time, and then people aren't showing up. And that's frustrating. I'd rather you just not respond to my email than to schedule a time and not come. So, we're still receiving them online, and just yesterday Friday, I reached out to someone, and have not heard back, so. Just wanted you folks to be aware and the community to be aware of our circumstances once again.
I understood last summer and the summer before, because of COVID and all that. And, I know we're fighting for counselors for the camp then, but why is it continuing? I just don't, it's like that whole idea that people are, slow quitting, deciding not to do these jobs anymore because they deserve better or, can do better.
I did talk to Megan, and she was at an HR symposium, I think last week or the week before, and they were talking about this very issue. And most communities are in the same boat that we're in with seasonal workers. And again, if you want to be in Parks and Recreation or elementary education or some outdoor those summer counselor jobs or park maintenance jobs, even park attendants are wonderful building experiences when you're in college. They look great on a resume in the future, so.
Even if you just wanted beer money.
Golf money. No, you're exactly right. And the park attendants that I do have, some of them are with me 25 and 30 years, and that's exactly what it is. It's their fun money on the weekends or something. So.
Maybe some people from the Golden Age Club will want to be park attendants.
We did advertise. There's some constraints with that group. Unfortunately, the evenings and weekends don't really work out very well for some people, but it's great for, people who work during the day and want extra money at night or on the weekend. We do have a couple of seniors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 7 of my 12 park attendant and maintenance workers are retired folks who work for us. So, yeah, we encourage any age to come in and apply.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that for you guys that work so hard to have these programs and have our parks great. It's a shame that.
Yeah, and especially for the families that rely on what this township is able to offer at a great rate. Yeah.
So, in the meantime, right, do we have staffing pools either with Parks and Rec or with Public Works that could benefit from overtime pay or something to help fill some of these gaps? I know it might be more challenging for the summer leaders, but for our maintenance at least.
Yeah, so what you may see is increased overtime for parks maintenance. We might have, folks working on the weekends or extending hours, which we've done in the past during the day. And that certainly will occur for the parks maintenance. Again, keeping in mind our number one goal is safety. So we're going to do whatever we need to do to make sure that the parks are safe for all our visitors. The park attendant, I floated the idea with Human Resource. I haven't talked to them. Maybe I mentioned it to the manager. We can certainly schedule some overtime work as a park attendant, which I think the Parks and Recreation and the Highway Department would be able to fill those roles. Again, we're paying a much different rate when we're using our overtime as compared to, but the park, safety, we have to make sure the park is staffed for our, a couple thousand visitors on the weekend. So that is an alternative. I'd sure like to fill the positions with qualified folks first, but if that doesn't happen, the fallback will be overtime for our staff.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And I mean, considering you're so low on numbers, the overtime pay will sort of, I would assume, sort of come out in the wash because we're so low on staff. And maybe we can work with the library too to advertise just some of your team programs or whatnot for these summer leaders and maintenance workers. The club would love to cut grass and weed.
We also, Kate and Jen in our office were out at the summer camps as leaders last year, and they weren't in the office because we wanted to make sure we can get more people into the programs. So it has a ripple effect through everything.
Definitely.
All right, you want to make a comment? Sure.
Where are these camps held, and like for the park maintenance people, like what kind of jobs will they be working on?
Sure. So our summer camp, we have many camps that are held in different areas, but our biggest one is our summer playground, supervised playground program. They're all held at the elementary complex and the middle school. Okay. So we have 4 different age groups, and they're in different parts of those buildings, but that's where they report for 8 weeks in the summer.
Okay. Gotcha.
The parks maintenance, our headquarters is at Bueller Park on Fitzwatertown Road. That's a 6:30 to 2:15 Monday through Friday job, grass cutting, weed whacking, digging ditches, whatever maintenance, fixing fences, whatever maintenance is required. It's mostly grass cutting and things associated with grass services.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. I'll be on the lookout.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right.
This isn't really related to that exactly. It's the Earth Day thing. The very first year we got permission to have a food vendor, but couldn't find one that would come. This year it looks like we might have a bagel shop that would be willing to do that. Is that okay?
I would have no issue if the board approved a food vendor to attend the event. It's well attended by the public. It certainly adds to their event.
Any licensing issues or insurance issues?
They would have to follow whatever the county guidelines are. Most of them that come to events have county permits. That's certainly something we can check.
Right?
Okay.
Great.
So this may have to go, our ordinance doesn't permit this, so I think this would have to be a full board vote for this. I think the board authorized me in the past to allow animals and certain things that were more related to the farmstead, but I don't
Food trucks.
I don't recall it allowed me to do food trucks, so this may have to go before the full board for approval.
Well, we have had food trucks there before.
We've had we've had vendors at our events, and the board has always approved, well, the board has always made the decision whether to approve or not approve.
Would that need to occur at this next board meeting then?
Would.
Okay.
The event is April 22nd at Masons Mill Park, from 10 a.m., might as well get the plug in, 10 a.m.
And it's just the food trucks that we would need?
Well, they're talking about, it's not a food truck, it's a bagel, they're gonna come out and serve bagels and things associated with bagels.
Blocks. They would, of course, be charging, and they're not,
Yeah, right.
I'm sure.
Okay, well,
No such thing as a free bagel.
There will be free pizza. Yep.
all right, we'll move that to the, all right, I don't see anything else on the agenda here. Are there any visitor comments? And commissioner comments?
Yes, so last month I suggested we move in another direction with our roller rink and our stuff in Veterans Park. But just recently, we saw the SEPTA withdrew from their King of Prussia rail line, so now they're going to be reapportioning their capital investments. So I think we should be aggressive with our actions there and try to see where we stand in line.
Well, yeah, I read that article too. I wondered, how will we know if they're gonna put any money back into that, our project?
Well, we can reach out to them and ask them.
Yeah, yeah.
Aggressive.
Rest- All right, very good. Well, with that, thank you and good night.